Welcome to the Own Your Life podcast, where our goal is to help bring hope, healing, and peace by sharing our experiences and inspiring you to own your life. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Own Your Life podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking all about don't ever give up. And I think no matter what you're going through, whatever your situation is, that it's important to not give up and to keep going. And I know that can feel like the hardest thing to do in the time that you're in. Even, going hour by hour can be very difficult, no matter what your situation is. And I just want to encourage you to not give up and to keep going, because on the other side of that hard season that you're in is going to be amazing. And I know that probably seems very unreal right now if you are going through something extremely hard, but just know that you will make it through. And I just want to encourage you with that today. I know I've been through a lot of hard seasons myself, and every time afterwards, I've been so thankful that I've stuck through with whatever it was to see it on the other side of that. And I think something that we can ask ourselves if you are, in a very hard situation, whether it's work, family, spouse, friends, kids, any kind of rift in a relationship, something like that, or something, maybe with your job or with choosing, with all this vaccine stuff and all this craziness coming out. If you are very upset and ready to throw in the towel, I encourage you to not do so and to ask yourself, what's the alternative? What if I do say you did give in to whatever it was that you don't want to do, or just letting go of hanging on and hoping for something, what's the alternative? What happens if you do that? I want you to think through that scenario, because I know a lot of times people do want to give up on things, but when they do, then they're like, oh, wow, well, I didn't think it was going to be like this. Or if I had known it was going to be like that, I wouldn't have given up and I would have kept going, and I shouldn't have done this. And yes, we're going to all make mistakes in life. That's, a lot of how we learn. But I also think it's the hard seasons that we can learn from too, and to be persistent and faithful during that time to make it through to the other side. And I do want to read this story from Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And it's called 3 Feet from Gold. So here is a little snippet from the book. One of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. Every person is guilty of this mistake at one time or another. An uncle of R.U. Darby was caught by the gold fever in the gold rush days and went west to dig and grow rich. He had never heard that more gold has been mined from the brains of men than has ever been taken from earth. He staked a claim and went to work with the pick and shovel. The going was hard, but his lust for gold was definite. After weeks of labor, he was rewarded by the discovery of the shining ore. He needed machinery to bring the ore to the surface. Quietly, he covered up the mine, retraced his footsteps to his home in Williamsburg, Maryland, told his relatives and a few neighbors of the strike. They got money together needed for the machinery and had it shipped. The uncle and Darby went back to work the mine. The first car of ore was mined and shipped to a smelter. The returns proved that they had one of the richest mines in Colorado. A few more cars of that ore would clear the debts. Then would come the big killing and profits. Down went the drills, up went the hopes of Darby and Uncle. Then something happened. The vein of gold ore disappeared. They had come to the end of the rainbow, and the pot of gold was no longer there. They drilled on, desperately trying to pick up the vein again, all to no avail. Finally, they decided to quit. They sold the machinery to a junk man for a few $100s and took the train home. Some junk men are dumb, but not this one. He called in a mining engineer to look at the mine and do a little calculating. The engineer advised that the project had failed because the owners were not familiar with fault lines. His calculations showed that the vein would be found just 3 feet from where the Darbys had stopped drilling. That's exactly where it was found. The junk man took millions of dollars in ore from the mine because he knew enough to seek expert counsel before giving up. Most of the money, which went into the machinery that was procured through the efforts of R.U. Darby, who was then a very young man, the money came from his relatives and neighbors because of their faith in him. He paid back every dollar of it, although it was years in doing so. Long afterward, Mr. Darby recouped his loss many times over when he made the discovery that desire can be transmuted into gold. This discovery came after he went into the business of selling life insurance. Remembering that he lost a large fortune because he stopped 3 feet from gold, Darby profited by the experience in his chosen work by the simple method of saying to himself, I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I will never stop because men say no when I ask them to buy insurance. Darby is one of a small group of fewer than 50 men who sell more than $1 million of life insurance annually. He owes his stickability to the lesson he learned from his quitability in the gold mining business. Before success comes into any man's life, he is sure met with much temporary defeat and perhaps some failure. When defeat overtakes a man, the easiest and most logical thing to do is to quit. That is exactly what the majority do. More than 500 of the most successful this country has ever known told the author their greatest success came just one step beyond the point at which defeat had overtaken them. Failure is a trickster with a keen sense of irony and cunning. It takes great delight in tripping one when success is almost within reach. And this is such an empowering story that if you do not give up, you will see the good on the other side of whatever it is you're going through. Now, I know this example was striking gold and with a business, but I believe it's applicable to all areas of life. And I do want to point out also that it said seeking expert counsel. So I think one of the hardest things to do when you are going through a tough season is to reach out for help. And a lot of that has to do with being reluctant because of maybe shame or guilt or embarrassment, not wanting anybody to find out. Maybe you want to, everything look good on the surface, but you're crumbling inside. And honestly, a lot of people want people to be real and they don't want to see the fake cover up. So I'm not saying spread your news to the world, but to get proper help if you do need it, whether that's in counseling or you've got good friends that can help you, but somebody that can actually help, not just taking whatever your situation is to somebody who can't help you. I don't think that that's helpful at all. Bringing somebody else down and putting them in misery with you, I don't believe is a good idea. But I think seeking, the expert help, seeking somebody that can help you in that situation, whether they've walked through it before themselves or know somebody who has, or, you're paying a professional counselor or something like that, I do believe is very, very helpful. I know family that can get a little tricky boundary wise, so maybe caution on that if you're reaching out to a family member for help. But maybe if they had gone through the same situation, that could be very helpful to you. So just using your discernment on that, I think, is important. But just seeing that in that story that he reached out to somebody who knew the fault lines, obviously, and he didn't. And he made millions off of it. And that was the proper way to go about it instead of just quitting. But I would say in whatever you're going through, just to not give up, because hard seasons can really make you better or bitter. And it's your choice at the end of the day. And all with owning your life is the decisions you make and the attitudes you have, the actions and thoughts and all of that in your life is really a result. And you get to make that choice. You get to make that choice if you want to let the hard seasons and things that you're going through make you bitter, cynical, mad at the world, hate everybody, or you can choose to learn from them, become better, glean the wisdom from it, capture lessons learned. So I would say, make sure you're taking notes and journaling, no matter what it is that you're going through, even if you're having an amazing time and you're not going through anything hard, to capture that, whether it's memories and pictures or just journaling what you did or what's going on in your life, because I think a lot of this is very fleeting. In that later on in life, when you forget about whatever situation this is, that it is nice to have that to look back on, even if it is something hard, because I really feel like that's how we learn from it, and to learn from our history instead of erasing it and not ignoring it, because you might repeat it if you do that. And that's very, very dangerous. So I think a lot of good can come out of going through hard seasons, and just to not give up. I do believe that there's so much good on the other side of it. And from Galatians 6:9, it says, "Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up." And I truly believe that. There are so many hard things that I've been through myself, and just trusting in God and putting my faith in Him and obedience and seeing scriptures like this have helped me in realizing, yes, if I don't give up, it will be good on the other side of it. And I can tell you from experience that a lot of things that I've been through, that has been the result. Maybe not the way that I wanted it to be. Maybe it didn't work out that way, but a lot of times it has, and even better, sometimes even better in things that I couldn't have even imagined that have happened, has been very amazing. But I know if you are in the hard season right now, that's sometimes hard to hear, and hearing other people having good come out of their situation, you might think, well, that's great for them, but that's not going to happen to me because it never happens to me. And I would really stretch you to change your mindset and to not speak those things over your life. Because if you're saying, oh, nothing good ever happens to me, or, nothing ever works out for me. Actually, Matt and I were just watching the Polar Express last night, and the one kid, I think his name is Billy. I'm not sure. The little blonde kid, that says, Christmas just doesn't work out for me. And he keeps saying that. And I just want to shake him, like, change your words. Like, you are bringing this self-fulfilling prophecy because you keep saying Christmas doesn't work out for me. Now, obviously, spoiler alert, it does work out for him. The movie's been out for a while, so I would assume you've already seen it by now if you wanted to. Sorry if I spoiled that for you. That's really not the biggest part of the movie, but the kid does say that multiple times throughout, that, Christmas just doesn't work out for me. Probably saying that. Some of you might be saying that in your life, like, oh, well, this just doesn't work out for me, or, oh, that always happens, or I never get this, or I never get that. And I would challenge you to change your words, to change your thoughts, because you can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you keep saying negative, speaking negative, you're around negative, and you're not doing anything about that. But I feel like if you've got a positive mindset, if you keep your faith and persistence in that, no matter what you're going through, to not give up. And I just really, really want to encourage you today, because I know the holidays can be very, very hard for a lot of people, and to stop comparing yourself to other people, because Instagram is great for some things, and so is Facebook and all the other social media channels. But it's also very damaging to people who maybe are lacking, whether it's in family or relationships or job or money or whatever it is, that you're comparing yourself. And it could be very hurtful, and not to do that, because comparison is the thief of joy. I know that's a cheesy saying, but I truly believe in that. And I think that the more that we keep scrolling and looking through all that stuff, the more upset and depressed, or looking at our lives and thinking, well, I don't have enough of XYZ, and no, I don't, that's not like that. But really, you don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So it's an unfair comparison anyways. But I would suggest to not compare yourself, to really stop comparing yourselves to other people, because their story is not your story. You have a unique story yourself, and that what you are going through is could be very difficult, and you will see why it's happening on the other side of that. I do believe everything happens for a reason. I know that's very debatable and controversial, but I do feel like it does. And that doesn't mean it's always a good reason, but I do feel like it's a stepping stone to get you to something else, no matter what it is. And from Proverbs 24:16 says, though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again. And just to know that when you get knocked down, you can always get back up. Cheesy song that I love is Tub Thumping by Chumbawambo, which is just a terrible title and a terrible band name, but whatever. Regardless, the message of the song is I get knocked down, but I get up again. And I thought the song was goofy when it came out, but now I really like it, because like I like that message. I like the get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. I think that's how I've lived. And I feel like that's a very powerful mantra to have. I know a lot of it talks about like drinking and stuff and whatever. I'm not talking about that. I mean like taking that message and making it more of a positive mindset and personal growth, Not necessarily like watching the music video, nothing that I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying just the basic, I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never going to keep me down. I think that is very powerful. And really through this season, through the holiday season, through this upcoming year of 2022, like holy bananas, it's going to be 2022 in less than a month, to really focus on, what do you want your life to look like? And, that all starts with the choices that you want to make and not giving up on whatever it is that you're going through. Like I said, it could be something really bad. It could be something really good. But I want you to know that you're not alone. A lot of people can feel alone in things like that. And if you do feel alone, to really reach out to somebody. Maybe you don't have to tell them everything that you're going through, but just reach out to somebody just to have somebody around, or just to be a friend to. I think sometimes when you can take the focus off of whatever you're going through, it's very helpful. I know that for me, joining a small group was helpful for me in moving to Tampa, and just to meet more people, because I do have a job that I work from home, and that might be you too. And it is hard to, just converse with other humans if you're behind a computer all day. And Zoom meetings are great and all, but it is not a substitute for in-person relationships, in my opinion. At least that's what I found. And I think that if you do feel alone, that you do need to reach out to somebody. I don't care who it is, somebody of a good influence. I will say that. So I do care about that, because I feel like we are made for relationships, and we are made to have friends. We are made to have, families, friends, and loved ones. That is very, very powerful, especially right now. This has been a very hard 2 years for a lot of us, probably all of us. And I think that you might feel like nobody cares. And I do want to let you know that I do. I care about you, and I don't know your situation, but I do care about you. And I do want you to keep going on and to not give up, because there's so many things being thrown at us that you might feel like that's the easier option. But in the end, I feel like it's definitely going to cost you more. You might not see it right away, but I think over the long run that's how that will work out. So I really want to encourage you today. Please do not give up on whatever it is that you're going through, and to realize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You might not be able to see it right now, but there is, and that I do care about you, and I want you to be well, and I want you to own your life. And with that, please share this message. Please subscribe. Please rate and review us. And until next time, own your life, because your life is your responsibility. Thank you all for listening. If this added value to you, please click subscribe and rate and review us. You can also find us at Own Your Life Co. on Instagram and Facebook, and ownyourlifeco.com. And as always, own your life, because your life is your responsibility.